Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Everybody is here. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope everybody is here and everybody is safe and sound. And I'm audible to you. Could you please confirm in the chat box that I am audible to you or on mic, whatever suits you, that I am audible to you? Yes or no? Audible का मतलब होता है बेटे कि क्या मेरी आवाज आपको सुनाई दे रही है? Okay, Juma sir can hear me. What about the rest of you? Yes, okay. So today we are going to start another poet. I just realized that we did not talk about Lord Byron and Shelley so far. We'll talk about those two. They were actually included in the midterm, but because we were a little behind and we only talked about one poem or two poems from each poets due to the fact that you were taking some time to understand. So what I have decided that first we'll finish the final term course, and then if we are left with some time, then we can talk about those two poets which we have not discussed so far. There are only one or two poems that we have to discuss from them, so I'll let you know when we can do that. Today we are going to talk about Matthew Arnold. This is the Matthew Arnold. You can see the picture on your screen. Some of his life works and his background will be shared first, and then we'll talk about his poem called Dover Beach, which is one of his most famous poems out there. Now, if we talk about Matthew Arnold's poetry, it was able to revolutionize English literature with its introspective and thought-provoking works in the era of Victorian age. He was known for exploring themes of culture, decay, spirituality, and the pursuit of truth. ये सारे perspectives you'll see time and again that he will focus on religion, and Dover Beach, on the other hand, is going to focus on cultural decay, rootlessness, spirituality, and how people are drifting away from their actual truth. As far as his uh, background or life facts are concerned, these are some of the life facts that you should know about him. He was born in Middlesex, England. His first book, poetry, was The Strayed Reveller. He worked as one of Her Majesty's inspectors of schools. In 1852, he published his second collection, which was called Theirs. Matthew Arnold died in Liverpool. Another point that is important that you should know is he married Frances Lucy. He was named a professor of poetry at Oxford University and lectured in English. Arnold won a scholarship of Balliol College, Oxford University. He wrote multiple essay collections, and then he went to United States, where he gave a lot of tours, lecture tours, as if he was a visiting faculty between 1883 to 1886. These are some of his famous works which are very much prevalently you'll find if you talk about or if you find about anything that is relevant to um, Matthew Arnold. First is Growing Old. It's a piece full of questions, answers, and descriptions of what old age is actually like. The speaker of the poem initially asks questions, and then there are stanzas in which you'll find certain answers to that. Then we have Philomena. It's a four stanza poem that was inspired by Greek mythology. So, Greek mythology was not only there in romantic poetry, it is also part of um, Victorian poetry as well. The poem follows a narrator who finds a nightingale in the woods and hears its song as one of morning. The speaker, this is not morning, morning, ये सुबह वाली morning नहीं है. Morning means being sad about it, being nostalgic, crying over somebody's death, or being in grief. The speaker talks directly to the bird, asking if it still has pain or suffering, like suffering it lived as a human woman, and then calls upon Roman Christian saint, again Greek mythology का रेफरेंस है. डबल बीच की हम बात कर लेते हैं, उससे पहले बात करते हैं Buried Life as another monologue, one of which the speaker tries to analyze his complex feelings. He remembers being struck by an uncontrollable sadness brought on by his lover. The next sections move through the way the man lives and how the fate determines. So fate, spirituality, cultural roots, old age, he's again dwelling in the past, and he is a very down to earth kind of a person, and he wants similar, he expects similar from the modern ager. Then we have lines written in Kingston Gardens. So that's another poem that we are not going to talk about that in detail, but it is part of his collection that he has written. He describes This poem describes a speaker's experience within the confines of gardens in London, England. The poem is 11 stanza long and presents the theme of nature, elevating it over a city life. The speaker emphasizes his appreciation for natural phenomena and natural world while marveling over the history of the gardens. So he's not only a poet of religion, spirituality, nature, but he is also somebody who is interested in history. He has agenda and logic behind his poetry whenever he's talking about it. As far as his early life is concerned, he attended Rugby School, where his father, Thomas Arnold, was a respected headmaster. He was quickly recognized as a talented student, so he was very good from the beginning. Since his childhood, he was a good student, and he was very well versed in Latin and English poetry, and he won an award for his essay as well. Um, and then he won a scholarship which landed him into Oxford University. His father died a year later, and following year, Arnold's poem Cromwell won the Newdigate Prize, which is awarded to students at Oxford University. अर्ली करियर की बात करें तो यहाँ पर सारी इंफॉर्मेशन लिखी हुई है. After Arnold graduated from Oxford, he went to publish his first book of poetry, The Strayed Reveller. A year later, he published a number of memorial pieces about William Wordsworth. One of these was poems of Wordsworth published in 1879. So Arnold, being a Victorian poet, did read the Romantic poets as well, but his individualistic thought process, individualism, logic, reasoning is different. It's not that personal as if it was for the Romantic poets. Then he was married to Frances Lucy, who was a daughter of a justice of the Queen's Bench. He was unable to support a family on his current wages. So definitely he went through the financial constraints. Like we have always looked at these poets, and most of them, they go through some financial constraints and ups and downs in their lives, and that is exactly what is happening with him as well. He was not able to afford a good lifestyle with these current wages, and was appointed as one of Her Majesty's inspectors of schools. Inspectors of schools were supposed to go and inspect schools in different regions, whether they were doing what they were supposed to do or not. This was a position he would hold for a number of years, but he did not enjoy it. It allowed him to travel throughout England and continental Europe. One of these countries was Switzerland, a period of travel in which the lyrics associated with Switzerland was supposed to have come from. He also managed to visit, so he was a well-traveled man. So a person who has traveled a lot and has gone through financial strains and had to work hard and has won a lot of scholarships and prizes for his write-up. This going from one place to another always helped him get another perspective, which was important as a poet. Then in 1857, he was named a professor of poetry in Oxford University, and then um, he was first an instructor, and then he became a professor. He used to deliver his lectures in English rather than Latin, and would hold position for the rest of his life. He became known for his excellently executed lectures that would translate classic works from all-time greats such as Homer. So he was a true classic. He had an influence and understanding and liking for the classics. He did read romantics, but he was more inclined towards the classics. He was also responsible for a number of dramatic poems such as Merope, which was published in 1858. The classical tragedy drew heavily from classic Greek mythology and has been considered an important literary work that he has produced so far. It was in the mid 60s he was that he published the collection of his last essays, which are called Essays in Criticism, first series, and then second series was there in um, uh, after his death, that was there in 1888. In his later life, Arnold went to America between 1883 to 1886, and he came back from the financial constraints and the crises and issues that he was facing earlier. Religion is important because the poem that we are going to talk about is based on that. Religion was also the center of a lot of his works. It is said that a source of great anxiety for Arnold was his own religious doubts. In several essays, he looked at establishing the truth of Christianity. He discussed the dogma of religious sects such as the Church of England, Protestantism, and Puritanism. He was also known for his combative views towards the ways of society. He was considered a social critic attacking modern civilization. So he is somebody who wants to stay connected to his grassroots and his civilization and cultural values. But of course, the world was changing, and he used to definitely socially critique those points. He's also known for calling the aristocracy barbarians, the middle class Philistines, and the criticism of populists. So these three words are from his criticism that he has written. The influence from other poets, he is highly influenced by the works of William Wordsworth and John Keats. Okay, so ये छोटा सा introduction था for the poet that we are going to discuss today. Now we can talk about the poem that's called Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. Now, this poem is a dramatic monologue. What is a dramatic monologue? Where drama will be seen, and it's a monologue where the poetic persona is talking to themselves or the poet is talking to themselves. It really depends कि वो poetic persona क्या कहना चाह रहा है. Now, this is a dramatic monologue lamenting the loss of true Christian faith in England during the mid 1800s. These are some key poem information. Central theme is the world is in decline without fate, assumed to be Matthew Arnold. Now, speaker is not clearly depicted as Matthew Arnold himself, but that is what most of the interpretations that are available say. The poetic form is free verse. Themes are nature and religion. Emotions that it is able to evoke are sadness and faith, and it's written in 19th century. Dover Beach explores the decline of faith, and the resulting sense of uncertainty and melancholy in the modern world. Now, this analysis is written by Emma Baldwin, and she has a bachelor's in English, history, and fine art. Um, we have already looked at his biography, so we are not going to talk about it. But these few lines uh, in this poem, Matthew discusses how faith used to encompass the whole world, holding the populace tight in its embrace, but he believes it is losing to the science, particularly those related to evolution given by Charles Darwin. अच्छा, यहाँ पर आप मीटर syllables देख सकते हैं. The sea is calm tonight. जो highlighted word हैं उन पर आपने stress देना है. उसके बाद rhyming scheme की बात करें, we have A, B, A, C, D, B, D, C, N, E, F. इसके अलावा if we look at the lines, we have a total of 37 lines and we have 4 stanzas. So this is a very good website to know. Not all the poems are going to be here, but these poems that I've been choosing and discussing with you are from these websites, and this website is fine. आप इधर से इसको पढ़ सकते हैं. It's a dramatic monologue और इसकी यहाँ पे summary दी हुई है. The poet's speaker, considered to be Matthew Arnold himself, begins describing a calm and quiet sea out in the English Channel. He stands on the Dover coast and looks across to France, where a small light can be seen briefly, then vanishes. This light represents the diminishing faith of the English people and the world around them. Throughout his poem, the speaker Arnold crafts an image of the sea receding and returning to land with the world's faith as it changes throughout time. At this point in time, though the sea is not returning, it is receding further out into the strait. सो बेसिकली पानी के आने और जाने का जो सी शोर पे वो आ रहा है और जा रहा है उसको वो रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है, और जो लाइट एक बोट पे प्रोबेबली लगी हुई है उस लाइट से वो पता चल रहा है वो डिमिनिश हो रही है. That light is the representation of faith and religion of Victorian age and the age in which he has written. The poem concludes pessimistically as the speaker makes clear to the reader that all the beauty and happiness that one may believe they are experiencing is not in fact real. The world is actually without peace, joy, or help for those in need, and the human race is too distracted by its own ignorance to see where the true assistance is needed anymore. So एक छोटी सी summary उन्होंने आपको दी हुई है. Now we'll talk about the detailed analysis stanza wise. So first stanza is this long, right? The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits, on the French coast the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand, the glimmering and vast out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window, sweet is the night air, only from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blenched land. Listen, you hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling. At their return up high the strand begin the seas, and then again begin with tremulous cadence show, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. The possible interpretation is given over here. Now, Arnold begins Tower Beach by describing the setting in which it is taking place. It is clear from the title itself that it is a beach in that is in Dover on the coast of England. The sea is said to be calm. There is a beach on the water at full tide. The moon lies fair, lovely upon the straits. A strait is a narrow passage of water, such as English Channel onto the Dover Beach abuts. Although it is useful to imagine the speaker in a particular place, the setting is not as important as what it represents. The speaker can see across the channel of the French side of the water. The lights on the far coast are visibly gleaming and then they disappear. And the cliffs of England are standing by themselves, vast, glimmering in the bay. The light that shines then vanishes. वही light जो मैंने आपको glimmering light के बारे में बताया, that he can see in across the channel, and the glimmering light is fading away. It vanishes away, and it is always almost as if it is the vanishing of the faith of English people, because it's an English channel. ठीक है, जो फ्रेंच साइड ऑफ वाटर की बात हो रही है. नो वन अराउंड हिम is able to see what he's saying, and the night is quiet. The speaker refers to quietness and calmness of the night with the word tranquil, but the readers will come to know another side. Many things may seem one, but they exist as the opposite. Now, the speaker turns another person that is in the scene with him and asks that this unnamed person, जहां पर वो you use करता है ना, listen, you hear the grating roar. So उस listener को, उस other इंसान को, he refers and he says, listen to it, and sweet night air is there. The second half of the second stanza is spent describing the sounds of the water that the speaker is viewing. The speaker draws the companion's attention to the sound that the water makes, जहाँ roaring है. They roll over one another, creating the grating roar. This happens over and over again as the sea recedes and returns. The slow crescent of this moment and its eternal repetition seems sad to the narrator, as if returning seas bringing with it the eternal note of sadness. M. Okay, then we have um, stanza 2. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the same sound of thought, hearing it by the distant northern sea. So he's like we have talked about him in the introduction that he's also a historian. He's always influenced by mythology and romantic poets, classics, and logic and everything. But he's also very much interested in the history. So he mentions the philosopher Sophocles, and he mentions that Sophocles saw it long ago. He was able to hear these sounds of the sea that the tides took along with them, and it too brought to his mind the feelings of human misery. वहां पे लिखा हुआ है कि ह्यूमन मिजरी को वो उसका मैसेज लेकर आया था, and how these emotions ebb and flow. Sophocles, who penned the play Antigone, is one of the best known dramatic writers of ancient Greece, and Arnold hopes to bring the reader's attention to the universal experience of misery that all throughout time have lived with us. Of course, we have come to this situation which is miserable, the situation in which Arnold is right now and whatever he's feeling, because in the past, what Sophocles and other philosophers pointed out was not taken seriously. Therefore, they have come to this conclusion. The rootlessness, the culture left behind, the religion in question, the doubts, everything, because nobody took care of the considerate disasters that were going on, wars were going on, everybody was cheating on everybody. So these universal experiences of misery, human life have always been there. The short stanza ends with the return to the present, as the narrator states. We are finding these same emotions in the sound, whatever Sophocles found in those roars. Then we have stanza 3. The sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. But now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast edges, dearer and naked shingles of the world. In the third stanza of Dover Beach, it becomes clear that Arnold is speaking about the diminishing faith of his countrymen and women. He describes the sea of faith once covered all the round of Earth's shore and held everyone together like a girdle. Now, though this time has passed, no longer is the populace united by a common Christian faith in God, as Arnold sees it, spreads apart by new sciences and conflicting opinions. So इस इन लाइंस में जब वो ये कहता है ना that the sea of faith was once too at the full and round earth's shore. So he's referring to those people who used to be together in the name of religion, because all of them were staunch believers of Christianity. So they were very much interested in following the same path. But now, because of scientific inventions, everything is changing. So he can feel some melancholy in that. The comparison that he has been crafting between drawing away and coming in of the sea is now made clearer. As his speaker says, there is no longer any return. The sea is only receding now, melancholy and long. It is retreating from England and the rest of the lands of the earth, leaving the people exposed. Then we have stanza number 4. Our love, let us be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us, like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy nor love nor light, nor certitude nor peace nor help for pain. And we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggles and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. At the beginning of the fourth stanza, it becomes clear the companion who's looking out over the water with the speaker is mostly likely to be a romantic partner of the poet. He speaks now directly to her and says, now let us be true to with each other, because the world that we see is a land of dreams only. It's not what it seems to be. It is not truthful. It tells lies. There are no joys. There are no certitudes. There are no peace. It is just a smoke screen. The poem concludes with a pessimistic outlook on the state of the planet as the people are suffering around the world on Darkling Plain, confused and fighting for things they do not understand. Real suffering is going on, and faith is slipping away or slipping. So ये आपकी एक छोटी सी पोएम थी. आई होप यू हैव अंडरस्टूड कि मैथ्यू आर्नल्ड किस तरह से डवर बीच में बताना चाह रहा है कि people, English people specifically of Victorian age, his age, are moving away from the sea, and they are too much materialistic into the world that they have forgotten the understanding that was brought on to them by the histories and Greek dramatists like Sophocles, and the seas of again. Now people do not want to know and they are so superficial. So he says, now let us be true to each other and do not get indulged into the worldly pleasures or worldly works, because they are not true. They are just a smokescreen. So we can say that the poem, the entire poem, is a lament, a criticism on the um, modern world, which is drifting away from the culture, religion and human companionship. सब कुछ इतना scientific हो चुका था उस time में that the people now were not interested in these things. ओके, यहाँ तक बेटे बात समझ आई. टेक 2 minutes. आप देखें और बताएं अगर कोई क्वेश्चन हो. इफ देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन. एनी क्वेश्चंस बेटे? Okay, let me share another study which is the same in the sense कि वो डॉवर बीच पे ही है. Let's have a look at it so that you know when you're talking about डॉवर बीच तो आपके पास और क्या मटेरियल हो सकता है इनकॉर्पोरेट करने के लिए. हम्म, चलिए इस पे एक डिस्कशन पढ़ लेते हैं. डिस्कशन मतलब एक किस्म का क्रिटिसिज्म है. इसमें आपको और क्लैरिटी आपके माइंड में डेफिनेटली आ जाएगी. लेट मी शेयर दिस स्क्रीन विद यू. दिस विल बी पोस्टेड इन योर क्लासरूम एज वेल. एक रीडिंग है जिसमें मल्टीपल पोएम्स फ्रॉम द सेम पोएट विल बी देयर, बट यू आर कंसर्न्ड विद डॉवर बीच ओनली. Now, it's one of the most admired poems written by him. Samuel Barber has composed a musical setting to it, which has been recorded. Okay. Dover Beach, a note on the poem in public speech has been there. The sea features in the poem, and you will notice that the sea is recurring feature of in most of the English literature. As already known that England is an island and the sea is never far away. This is very similar to the heat and dust that is often featured in Indian literature. But the sea can mean different things to different poets and writers. For Byron, in the poem Ocean, the sea is angry, potent force that punishes man for his pettiness. The sea can be bountiful, it can be benevolent as it brings the sailors home from the sea, or it can separate lovers as it does in the context of Marguerite. Let us now look at how sea has been handled in Dover Beach. Now, though written much earlier, was published in 1857 in New Poems. In fact, the manuscript of part of Dover Beach dates back to June 1851. Nature as at its best as Lucy and Arnold look at the moon. See, एक और पॉइंटर यहाँ पे दिया गया है कि जहाँ पर Matthew Arnold is on a honeymoon with his wife, and Lucy and Arnold are looking at the moon in the calm sea, and this clear night can see light on the French coast. Yet, this perfect setting does not evoke romantic feelings in Poet because he's so worried, so concerned about the faith, loss of faith, and he's so melancholic and nostalgic about it. So he outlines the human conditions and miseries and feels that love alone can somewhat lessen the pain of isolation and suffrage. फिर इस पोएम को दिया गया, इसमें कुछ वर्ड्स हाईलाइटेड है, उनकी ग्लॉसरी आपको प्रोवाइड की गई है। आप यहाँ से भी उसको पढ़ सकते हैं कि इसका क्या कुछ मीनिंग हो सकता है। जैसे सोफोक्लिस आपको मैंने बताया, एक फिलोसोफर है, ग्रीक ड्रामेटिस्ट है। द पार्ट अगेन जो है, द पार्ट ऑफ मेडिटेरियन सी है। उसके बाद सी ऑफ फेथ इज फेथ इन रिलीजन है। गिर्डल का मतलब होता है बेल्ट है। उसके बाद सर्टिट्यूड इज सर्टेनिटी and ignorant armies, the image of battle by night when both friend and foe are confused in darkness and they kill each other and they fight with each other and whatnot. Then there is a discussion. ये discussion क्यों important है कि आप अपना जब analysis लिख रहे हैं किसी भी perspective से, तो you can incorporate these. As J.D. Jump has said, Dover Beach is a short poem, but it embraces a great range and depth of significance. What is Arnold's main preoccupation in his poem? He ruminates on the loss of religion, faith, and subsequent vulnerability of human beings to the sufferings and pains of life. It is only through a satisfying love relationship that one can rest a meaningful existence in an otherwise meaningless and hostile universe. Now, Arnold spent a night in Dole while on his honeymoon trip with Lucy. Here he is standing at the window with Lucy at by his side, an exceptionally clear night looking at the sea. Not only it is clear, but Arnold's opening line suggests calm and stability, a kind of poise that Arnold probably desires for himself. Arnold observes that the sea is calm, the tide is high, and the moon is shining in the English Channel. On the distant French coast, he can see slight flicker of the light which shines briefly and then disappears. As if जैसे कोई religion हो कि जिसका कोई ना कोई spark रह गया है, लेकिन वो आता जाता रहता है. The white cliffs of Dover can seen large and shining curve of the shore. The poet tenderly beckons his wife to the window where she too can enjoy the pleasant breeze. Up to this point, nature is calm, beautiful, and soothing. But from here on, the poet discerns the underlying grating sounds which he describes at some length till the end of the first stanza. The poet draws his wife's attention to the moonlight. अच्छा, ये भी आप एक दूसरे तरीके से तो नहीं, लेकिन it's a better way to write your description and understanding of the poem. आप दोनों से पढ़कर अपनी understanding clear कर सकते हैं. The poet draws his wife's attention to the moonlight beach and the point where he waves lap at the shore, the sound of the pebbles as they are dragging along the beach by the receding waves. These pebbles are once again pushed up by the sloping beach as the tide returns. Thus, there is a constant sound and motion that begins and ceases and begins again. The trembling rhythm seems to symbolize some kind of unending sorrow. कि मतलब वो प्रॉपरली जा भी नहीं रहा है, प्रॉपरली आ भी नहीं रहा है. इट्स ऑलवेज टू एंड फ्रो. दैट इज अ कंटिन्यूशन ऑफ ए sorrow. Then line 14 to 20 is there. Carry forward this notion of eternity by harking back to the time of Sophocles in the history. This grating roar was probably also heard by Sophocles long ago on the shores of the Aegean Mediterranean Sea, and it was this that perhaps induced in his mind the sense of miseries in human life which are reflected in his great tragedies. Just as the sound of ebb and flow of the waves was able to evoke feelings of human misery in Sophocles' mind, so also it evokes similar thoughts in the mind of Arnold and his wife, who stand much further north, separated from him by time and space. यानी एक पूरी civilization, time and space की दूरी पे खड़े होकर भी they are feeling the same. They can hear the same miseries, unending sorrows which are approaching them. From the reference to Sophocles and the past, Honor returns to the immediate present, ruminating philosophically on the spiritual decline that had beseeched human beings. But this thinking is done in the shape of images. Arnold explains that at one time, religious faith supported and helped mankind and was at its strongest. This religious faith was like a beautiful garment that engirdled the earth, which made the people and the earth one, unanimous, united. In short, this faith was universal, but now the poet can hear the receding tide which draws back with the sad sound to the music of the night. The music of the night is the natural sounds जो कि नेचर खुद बनाता है. Winds है, पानी है, सी शोर है, leaving the beach exposed and uncovered. Similarly, the poet is aware of the fact that people have lost faith in religion, which has withdrawn from everywhere like the outgoing tide. This spiritual decline has left human beings vulnerable and exposed to the sorrows of life. What can be done in such a situation? The poet appeals to Lucy once more. He believes that if they love each other truly and heartily, they will be able to discover some value in life. Loss of religious faith had made it impossible to believe that universe was to some extent adjusted to human needs. He says that the world they can see before them is beautiful like a dream. In spite of its varied beauty, it cannot offer either joy, love, hope, or certainty to anyone. People can have no peace and they continue to suffer. From the sea image, the poet moves in the final lines to the final lines to a startling new image, that of the field which is with the battle raging in the dark, where it is not clear who is the friend or who the enemy or why they are fighting at all. The melancholy tone that poem arises from the feeling of deep despair. The stanzas are of different length and the lines move with the steady and poised rhythm. The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full. Now, the image of sea is present throughout the poem, but in last three lines, we are taken to a darkling plain. The sea is calm at the outset. Slowly, grating roar is discernible, an ebb and flow that turns the poet's thoughts and mediate on the loss of faith, with which humanity was now beset. This loss of religious faith is depicted by the image of receding tide and its melancholy, long withdrawing roar. What is the result of this loss of faith? Without religious faith to invest life with some meaning and sense of value, the world is like an anarchic battlefield in the dark where people are ignorant and they don't know what's happening around them. And they are indulged in hideous clashes and fights. Poems with philosophical meditations are usually not very lyrical and appealing. However, Dover Beach is both. It is highly philosophical and it is lyrical and appealing as well. ठीक है, सो यहाँ से आप इसको पढ़ सकते हैं. उसके बाद इसकी कुछ और पोएम्स भी लिखी हुई हैं, अगर आप वो भी चाहें तो पढ़ सकते हैं. Now, if you have any questions, तो go ahead and ask. Any questions? Any feedback, any comments, anything? Okay, so it seems like काफी हद तक आपको ये poem समझ आ गई है. Well, if you have any questions regarding anything, तो वो भी पूछ सकते हैं. नहीं तो we can start another poet since we do have half an hour. So we can talk about maybe Lord Byron because उसकी poems बहुत छोटी हैं. So we can talk about him. In fact, एक और काम करते हैं that you will be given. I am going to give you presentations इस तरह से. नेक्स्ट वीक आपका एक क्विज है मंडे को, वो तो हो जाएगा, लेकिन ट्यूसडे को यू विल हैव presentations from the poems that we were supposed to do but were not able to do so due to um that's okay, Babar, you can leave. Babar comes late, leaves early, but he's too cognitively overburdened all the time. That's okay, Bete. Anyway, so I'm going to assign you your assignments for presentations. Okay, I don't expect you to give outclass presentations because I'm not myself an outclass presenter, so I don't expect that. But I expect something that you will present in a manner that you own it. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप इस तरह से प्रेजेंट करें कि ऊपर ऊपर से सर से उतारने वाली बात हो, राइट? यू मस्ट ट्राई योर बेस्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड. Material be I will provide it to you. You just have to read, make it condense in such a manner that the audiences can make sense of it. So let me open a sheet and then I'll assign you. It could be in a pair or it could be a single presentation as well. It really depends कि poem किस length की है और क्या नहीं. अगर आप pair और group में हो और आपका group member काम नहीं कर रहा, प्लीज डोंट पैनिक. परेशान होने वाली बात नहीं है. ऑल यू विल हैव टू डू इज टू उनको फिर आप एक्सक्लूड कर देंगे. आप तीन लोग हैं तो तीसरे को निकाल देंगे. मुझे खुद ही पता चल जाएगा कि वो काम करने में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है. सो लेट मी सी द पोएम्स एंड लेट मी ओपन द शीट कि मैं आपको क्या कुछ असाइन कर सकती हूँ. मटेरियल भी पोस्ट कर दिया जाएगा. आपने एटलीस्ट 10 से 15 मिनट्स की प्रेजेंटेशन देनी है. प्रेजेंटेशन देते हुए आपने कॉन्फिडेंट होना है. यू हैव टू टेल अस whatever you have understood. आपको लाइन वाइज एक्सप्लेनेशन बहुत डीपली ना भी दे पाए तो कुछ ना कुछ आपने हमें बताना है. आप हमें वर्ड्स मीनिंग्स बता सकते हैं, समराइज करके बता सकते हैं एंड व्हाट नॉट. रीजन आई एम असाइनिंग दिस असाइनमेंट while I'm recording the class so that if somebody is confused what to do and how to do it, they can always listen to this recording, right? Um, okay, Sitara is in the meeting. Sitara, will you be continuing this subject, Pite? Did you talk to the department? Have they allowed you to continue? Hmm. See, connect करके छोड़ के चले जाना भी is a very, it's an artistic thing by the way. लेकिन क्या ही कर सकते हैं, आर्ट इज एन आर्ट, राइट? सो जो सुन रहे हैं गुड, उनके लिए बेहतर हो जाएगा, और जो क्लास छोड़ के जैसे चले गए हैं तो उनका भी हो सकता है। बेटे, नेट का इशू तो मेरे एंड पर भी है, बट मेरा नहीं ख्याल कोई मैंने कभी कोई कहा कि ये हो रहा है तो वो हो रहा है। मेरी तो लाइट भी नहीं थी सुबह से। आई मेड श्योर कि मैं सोल्यूशन ढूंढूं, प्रॉब्लम नहीं। सो ये तो मैं नहीं मानती हूँ इस बात को, राइट? एंड आई नो फॉर अ फैक्ट कुछ आप में से बच्चे हैं कि नेट का इशू हो या ना हो, आपने कौन सा आके सुनना होता है या पार्टिसिपेट करना होता है, तो दैट्स ओके बेटे, दैट्स फाइन। Now let me assign you those things. मैं आपके यहाँ names note कर लेती हूँ। Let me open it. चलिए। हम्म। और अगर आप इस दिन छुट्टी कर लेते हैं किसी भी रीजन से, तो इसका रीटेक नहीं होगा, और इसकी वेटेज, इस प्रेजेंटेशन की वेटेज सबसे ज्यादा है। So do not be absent at any cost. Just in case there is something, a prevailing situation जो कि ठीक नहीं हो पा रही है, कोई प्रॉब्लम है, तो वो मैं खुद ही आपको एक्सटेंड कर दूंगी। अगर कोई इशू नहीं है तो आपके पर्सनल इश्यूज विल नॉट बी टेकन इनटू कंसिडरेशन दिस टाइम, ठीक है? वो मैं नहीं सुनूंगी। सिंपल सी बात है कि इसको हम अरेंज करने लगे हैं, तो यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट इट। जो मजहर है, निम्रा, बुशरा, अक्सा है, हिबा, हाजरा होती है, एक हलीमा भी है आई थिंक, उसके बाद बाबर है, और कौन रह गया? शुएब होता है, एक
मैम
दो।
बख्तावर।
बख्तावर, यस बख्तावर है। तो ये 10 हो गए। हाँ जी, 10 बच्चे हो गए। मैं आपको यहाँ से शो ही करो साथ, एक दफा मैं इसको लिख लूँ, फिर मैं आपको शो करती हूँ कि आपने करना क्या और कैसे करना है, ठीक है? सी, जैसे कि ये आपकी आउटलाइन है ना, वो आपको दिखाती हूँ, आपने शायद देखी हो कभी खोल के ना। तो दिस इज योर आउटलाइन। तो इसमें जो आपको रेड नजर आ रही है, ओके, कैन यू सी इट ऑन योर स्क्रीन, और इज इट गॉन नाउ?
यस मैम, इट इज विजिबल।
विजिबल है, चले ठीक है। सो इसमें मैं आपको ये बताना चाह रही हूँ कि हमने अभी तक जो बात नहीं की है वो लॉर्ड बायरन की नहीं की है और पीबी शेले की नहीं की है। जो रेड में है बेटे, दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी पार्ट ऑफ योर सिलेबस, ऑल्दो आपको वो पढ़ना चाहिए। और जो येलो में है वो बहुत लेंथी है, तो उनको एज सच हमने टच शायद नहीं किया होगा, ठीक है? ऑप्शनल को यूजुअली ये नहीं एग्जाम में देते, तो वो हमने अभी तक उसकी बात नहीं की। तो दीज टू पोएट्स दैट आई एम रेफरिंग टू, लॉर्ड बायरन एंड पीबी शेले, आर देयर, ठीक है? तो अब ये हम इक्वली डिवाइड कर लेते हैं कि कौन क्या बता सकता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, हाँ, कीट्स तो हमें आता ही है ना, कीट्स की लाइफ के बारे में तो हमें पता ही है। तो एक बच्चे को ओड टू नाइटिंगेल दे देते हैं। आपने करना क्या है, ओड टू नाइटिंगेल के बारे में आपने मुझे उसकी बेसिक समरी, उसमें क्या हो रहा है, मेन थीम क्या है, ये सब कुछ बताना है। कैन यू सी द स्प्रेडशीट एज वेल ऑन योर स्क्रीन्स,
यस मैम।
जिसपे मैं लिख
यस
रही हूँ?
मैम।
ठीक है। तो ये आपका नाम है बेटे, इसको मैं थोड़ा सा, अगर ये बोल्ड हो जाता है, नजर आ जाए, ठीक है? ये हो गई जुम्मा जर के लिए। फिर वापस चलते हैं उस पे। La Belle Dance and Mercy is too lengthy, so we'll drop it as for now. Then we have Lord Byron. इसकी poems बहुत आसान है, ठीक है? ये मटेरियल आपसे शेयर भी किया जाएगा, ये इतनी मुश्किल है नहीं। So the first poem is She Walks in Beauty, जो कि हम असाइन कर देते हैं शुएब को। इसके साथ लिख भी देते हैं, पता चले किसी और पोइट का लिख कर ले आए हैं ना। एक सेकेंड। और ये हैं जी जॉन कीट्स। और फिर हमारे पास है निम्रा। निम्रा को कुछ ऐसा देते हैं जो थोड़ा सा अच्छा हो। लेट मी सी। हम्म ओ टू द वेस्ट विंड। ठीक है, ये हो गई निम्रा की। आप मुझसे क्या कहते हैं, अलग से डिस्कशन भी कर सकते हैं अगर किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो ऑन कैंपस इन द नेक्स्ट 2 क्लासेस। चले, ये हम अगले ट्यूसडे को नहीं रखते, अगले वीक को ले जाते हैं। ठीक है, आपके पास टाइम होगा, अगर कोई मसला आए तो आप मुझसे ऑन कैंपस पूछ भी सकते हैं कि मुझे ये समझ नहीं आ रही, या मैं इसको आगे कैसे लेके चलूं और क्या हो सकता है। And because I've been teaching these subjects for a long time, so there is a possibility कि इनकी recordings कहीं मेरे पास कहीं हो। तो अगर वो होंगी तो वो भी मैं आपको यहाँ पर पेस्ट करके ये पोस्ट कर दूंगी आपकी क्लास में, तो आप उनको भी सुन सकते हैं। लेकिन वो सफिशेंट नहीं होंगी, क्योंकि आई एम नॉट श्योर कि मैं उस क्लास को किस पर्सपेक्टिव से पढ़ा रही होंगी। सो इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट कि आप खुद से भी पढ़ें, उस रीडिंग को भी सुन लें और कहीं और से भी सुन लें। कहीं और से समझ आता है तो दैट इज ऑल्सो फाइन। ये हमारे पास हो जाएगा पीबी शैले। बुशरा यूजुअली इज एब्सेंट, सो बुशरा को दे देते हैं लव्स फिलोसफी। ये इतनी मुश्किल पोएम नहीं है, आई होप यू कैन डू इट। ये भी हमारे पास आ जाती है शैले से। एंड दीज आर क्रेडिटेड, ये आपने अपने माइंड में रखना है, ऐसा नहीं है कि इनके नंबर नहीं है, इनके डेफिनेटली नंबर है। उसके अलावा हम when we two parted to a skylark, or to a skylark हम दे देते हैं अक्सा को। ये है बाबर के लिए। ओके, आई वॉच्ड दी एंड व्हेन वी टू पार्टेड, ये भी हम आपको असाइन कर देते हैं। ये इधर ले जाते हैं और यहाँ पे करते हैं। व्हेन वी टू पार्टेड आ जाती है, कौन सी रहेगी? हाँ, व्हेन वी टू पार्टेड। और अब रहेगी हिबा एंड हाजरा। हिबा एंड हाजरा, आर यू गाइस फ्रेंड्स बेटे? वो आप वो दो वाले बच्चे हो जो के एंड में आते होते हो, जॉब करते हो दोनों? यस।
यस मैम, वही है।
ठीक है। सो मैं आपको ये दे देती हूँ लाबेल डेम्स एंड मेर्सी, आप दोनों ने करनी है। ठीक है, दोनों मिलके हाफ हाफ डिवाइड कर लेंगे कौन क्या करेगा। इज दैट ओके? ठीक। ठीक है, तो ये आपकी होगी बेटे प्रेजेंटेशंस। एक मैंने आपको शायद कहा था कि आपसे रेसिटेशन भी करवाएंगे, वो मैं मुझसे मिस हो गया किसी तरह से। सो वो भी मैं आपसे शेयर कर दूंगी। अब गौर से सुन लें कि आपने इस प्रेजेंटेशन में करना क्या कुछ है और कैसे।
मैम आपने मुझे पोएम ही असाइन की।
हाँ जी बेटे, नाम बताओ।
सितारा बीबी।
सितारा। सितारा, अभी आपसे मैं एक सवाल पूछ रही थी बेटे, आर यू गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू दिस सब्जेक्ट? डिड यू टॉक टू
यस
द
मैम।
डिपार्टमेंट?
नो मैम, आई हैव नॉट स्टिल टॉक टू द डिपार्टमेंट।
Okay, basically, in my understanding, if a mid is missed and you have not talked to them so far, देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी दे वोंट लेट यू कंटिन्यू द कोर्स, कुछ होता है ऐसे, लेकिन आप फिर भी पूछ लें, मैं इतना श्योर नहीं हूँ, तो इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट कि आप पूछ लें।
ओके
आपको भी
मैम।
कुछ ना कुछ दे देते हैं, देख लेते हैं क्या रह गया। आई थिंक ये रह
मैम
गया।
मुझे भी नहीं असाइन किया आपने।
क्या नाम है बेटे?
बख्तावर।
कवर लिख तो दिया, ये देखो नंबर 13 पे।
नहीं शो हो रहा मैम।
अच्छा कोई बात नहीं, मैं वहां पोस्ट करूंगी तब हो जाएगा, अभी बता देती हूँ आपको।
ऑल राइट मैम।
बेटे आप सबको, किसको स्क्रीन नजर नहीं आ रही? किसी को स्क्रीन नजर आ रही है?
मैम नजर नहीं आ रही, जस्ट पोएम शो हो रही है जो आपने शीट
अच्छा
निकाली हुई है पढ़ाई वाली।
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, लेट मी माय बैड। यही तो मैं पूछना चाह रही थी, पहले भी मैंने पूछा कि आप मुझे बताएं, तो आपने कहा कुछ तो नजर आ रहा है, तो मुझे लगा आपको नजर आ रहा है। लेट मी, मैंने जो यहाँ पे फाइल खोल रखी है ना, लेट मी ओपन दैट फाइल। एक सेकेंड। दिस दिस द फाइल। अब आई होप आपको नजर आएगा, एक मिनट। दिस वन। नाउ कैन यू सी योर नेम्स एंड,
यस मैम।
ठीक है? तो आपके नाम के सामने एक पोएम लिखी है, उसको आपने प्रेजेंट करना है, ठीक है? और कैसे करना है, कितना करना है, वो मैं आपको बताने लगी हूँ। मैं इसके सामने नाम लिख लूँ, एक मिनट। ठीक है, तो ये आप लोगों को असाइन हो चुकी है। इसके सामने डेट्स भी लिख दी जाएंगी, ठीक है, कि कौन सी डेट को करनी है, बिकॉज एक दिन में तो ये सारी नहीं हो सकती ना। सो यहाँ पर एक डेट का कॉलम आ जाएगा। और मैंने आपसे कहा कि अगर कुछ रिकॉर्डिंग अवेलेबल है या कुछ बिफिटिंग मटेरियल कहीं ऑनलाइन भी है, तो उसका भी एक लिंक यहाँ पर पेस्ट हो जाएगा, तो आप उसको ओपन करके देख सकते हैं। आपके गूगल क्लासरूम में इससे रिलेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन तो डेफिनेटली शेयर की ही जाएगी, तो वहां से भी आप पढ़ सकते हैं। सो व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू
इसमें
डू।
मेरा नाम स्टिल शो नहीं हो रहा है।
किसका?
हलीमा।
हलीमा हो रहा है यार।
नंबर 10 पे देखो हलीमा। अच्छा मैं हाईलाइट करती हूँ, ये देखो, देखो ना हलीमा, ये बेटा, ये मैं आपको ना
ओके
कोई
मैम।
ऑरेंज कर देती हूँ, ये हलीमा है भाई।
ओके।
ठीक है, मैं इसको दोबारा चेक भी कर लूंगी कि कोई मिस ना हो जाए। मेरे माइंड में आप ही लोग हैं, इसके अलावा तो इस क्लास में कोई है नहीं, तो कोई रह भी गया तो
ऑल
उसको
राइट।
साइन कुछ ना कुछ हो जाएगा, छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा, फिक्र नहीं करे, काम सब ने करना है, उसमें कोई मसला नहीं होने वाला। एनीवे, तो कहाँ थी मैं? आई वॉज टॉकिंग अबाउट आपने करना कैसे है। तो इम्पोर्टेंट जो डिटेल्स हैं, इंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं, वो ऐसे हैं कि आपने जो है, एक सेकंड, इंस्ट्रक्शंस में हमारे पास जो आ जाता है कि ये कम से कम 10 से 15 मिनट्स होनी चाहिए। उससे ज्यादा भी हो सकती है, लेकिन उससे कम नहीं होनी चाहिए। आपको थॉरली डिस्कस करना है, ठीक है? टाइम ऐसा होना चाहिए, you can exceed more than 20 minutes as well, depending on the poem. For example, people who are going to talk about, for example, O2 नाइटिंगेल जो बात करेंगे, तो उसमें आप 20 मिनट भी आपके लिए कम है। देन ओ टू द वेस्ट विंड में भी टाइम कम है, ओ टू अ स्काईलार्क में भी टाइम कम है, बाकी सब तो हो ही सकती है। एंड हिबा एंड हाजरा आप मिला के बेटे 30 से 35 मिनट्स डेफिनेटली डिस्कस कर सकते हैं। तो ये इस तरह से हमने लेके चलना है, तो मिनिमम ये टाइम है, ठीक है? और मैक्सिमम आप जा सकते हैं डिपेंडिंग ऑन 30 मिनट्स और 35 मिनट्स, ठीक है? रही बात कि आप क्या हाथ में कोई रुक्का, कोई चिट, कोई कोई बूटी लेकर आएंगे? नहीं, आप पावर पॉइंट स्लाइड्स बना सकते हैं अगर आप चाहें, बल्कि इसको मैंडेटरी कर देते हैं, इसका भी स्कोर कर लेंगे कि पीपीटी स्लाइड्स आप बना सकते हैं, टेक्स्ट लिखकर उस पर ला सकते हैं, ठीक है? अगर आप उसमें कंफर्टेबल नहीं है, तो आप पोएम का प्रिंट लाकर ऑडियंस से शेयर कर सकते हैं, दो दो में ग्रुप में, कि आप ये देखिए, मैं आपको ये बताता हूँ इसमें क्या कुछ है। तो स्लाइड्स आप मैंडेटरी, इसका भी अलग से स्कोर होगा। स्लाइड्स में आप क्या करेंगे कि यू आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट द पोएट ऑफ कोर्स, एंड देन यू आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट योर पोएम। अब पोएट के बारे में बहुत थॉरली बात करने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप इतनी ही बात करेंगे जितना बेनिफिट करेगा आपके एनालिसिस को, ठीक है? तो स्लाइड्स की कोई वो नहीं है, लिमिट नहीं है कि 4 होनी चाहिए कि 40 होनी चाहिए। बस ये याद रखना है कि स्लाइड्स का एक मकसद होता है, और उस मकसद का मतलब सिंपली ये होता है कि यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू राइट each and everything on the slides. Slides are meant for you only, for your understanding, कि आपने सीखना है, आपने याद रखना है कि आप क्या क्या बताने वाले हो, ठीक है? उसके अलावा जो डेट आपको अनाउंस की जाएगी उसी डेट पे प्रेजेंट करना है। इसका वेटेज जो हम रखेंगे, वेटेज हम इसका रख लेते हैं 8 मार्क्स का, ठीक है। 8 नंबर्स इसके फाइनल होंगे। ऑल्दो पूरी प्रेजेंटेशन 20 मार्क्स की होगी, लेकिन उसका वेटेज 8 मार्क्स का होगा। सो मेक श्योर दैट यू डू नॉट मिस दिस प्रेजेंटेशन। किसी भी सूरत में आप इसे मिस ना करें, क्योंकि जो एंडिंग ऑफ द सेमेस्टर इज अप्रोचिंग, तो इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट कि अब आप मिस ना करें। किसी किस्म के लेम एक्सक्यूजेस मत बनाएं, क्लास छोड़कर मत जाएं। जैसे मुझे पता है इंटरनेट का इशू ना होते हुए भी हम कनेक्ट नहीं होते, देयर आर मेनी रीजंस एंड दैट्स ओके। यू हैव ऑल द राइट टू डू वट एवर यू थिंक इज फिट, वो आपकी चॉइस है और आपको पूरा हक है उसका, लेकिन इसको मिस नहीं करना जो मर्जी हो जाए। वेटेज इसका हम 8 मार्क्स रखेंगे, लेकिन टोटल, बल्कि वेटेज में यहाँ से हटा ही देती हूँ वरना आप लोग क्या करेंगे। टोटल मार्क्स इसके होंगे 20 and you will be evaluated for your confidence, for your clarity. स्क्रिप्ट रीडिंग इज नॉट अलाउड। स्क्रिप्ट रीडिंग होती है कि कहीं से देख के नहीं पढ़ना, कहीं ना कहीं से आप पॉइंटर्स देख सकते हैं, लेकिन ऑल टुगेदर स्क्रिप्ट रीडिंग इज नॉट अलाउड, ठीक है। और कॉपी पेस्ट नहीं करना पावर पॉइंट स्लाइड पे। गेमा एआई से, किसी एआई से पावर पॉइंट नहीं बनवानी, खुद बनानी है जो भी बनानी है। ठीक है, यहाँ तक बात समझ आई? और कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो बताएं। एक मिनट, चैट बॉक्स में क्या लिखा हुआ था? जी, निम्रा का यही क्वेश्चन था कि हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू प्रेजेंट, आर वी गोइंग टू मेक पावर पॉइंट? हाँ, बना लें, अपनी तसल्ली के लिए डेफिनेटली बना लें। और कोई क्वेश्चन बेटे माइंड में आता हो तो पूछें। ठीक है, तो इन यहाँ पर मैं आपकी ना डेट्स अब ऐड कर देती हूँ, बिकॉज आपकी नेक्स्ट क्लास का टाइम हो गया है। तो अब मैं आपको, आई विल बी सेइंग गुड बाय टू यू, बट आपकी जो डेट्स और ये सब कुछ लिखकर मैं यहाँ पर फिल कर कर आपके गूगल क्लासरूम में ये पेस्ट कर दूंगी, पोस्ट कर दूंगी। तो आप नेक्स्ट मंडे एंड ट्यूसडे को अगर आपके पास कोई भी क्वेश्चन है रिलेटेड टू इट तो आप मुझसे पूछ सकते हैं। ठीक है बेटे? All right, beta. Thank you so much. See you on Monday. Allah Hafiz. And Monday को remember you have a quiz. Come prepared. Quiz किस चीज का है वो आपके WhatsApp ग्रुप में भी लिखा है और आपकी Google क्लासरूम में भी लिखा हुआ है। ओके जी, अल्लाह हाफिज।
अल्लाह हाफिज मैम।